Sunday's radio show. I am your host, Miss Special, here with good friend of Special Sundays, back out again. Introduce yourself to the people.
What up? It's Bambu, aka Buck Taylor, sometimes known as Buck Rogers, and sometimes known as Encyclopedia Brown.
Boom! That's it. One rifle per family just dropped a little while ago.
That's right. You know, when I started, it was supposed to be thematic to family, but as it progressed, it started to widen from family to the community, and then it came to this kind of bubble where it's like, hey, once we start looking at our brothers as more than the someone who came from the same woman, and we start reaching out and considering people in our community.
Definitely, yeah. It definitely
it changes the dynamic. Yeah, and it definitely changes the dynamic of the way you work. You know what I mean, as far as for social change.
Got Killer Mike on there. What's it like working with him?
Oh, it was great. I met him at SOB's in New York. He came out with Immortal Technique to check out my first headlining show in Manhattan. It was awesome. And from then on, we've just kind of stayed connected. DJ Trackstar, his show DJ, Help was one of the guys who helped kickstart this organization that we have in LA called Sessions LA, which is a writing recording workshop for youth in the historic Filipino town in downtown LA. So we connected that way, and the song happened that way. I got a chance to hang out with him on the tour. We have a lot of commonalities, in our personal lives, but also in how we view things. He's always very critical of how we treat our youth, which is when most conscious folks, most social, political, economic, academics, they spend a lot of time, they get to a certain level where they start to bash the youth and what they're doing. And Killer Mike and me both agree that that's not the way to go. We have to embrace it. Embrace whatever the youth are doing and then try to find a way to flip that, because it's that easy. Because you keep pushing kids away, they're just gonna keep doing what they're doing. They're not gonna have any guidance. They're not gonna feel that you connect with them.
Yeah, and you can't forget that you were once a kid, so it's like
your
struggles aren't exactly the same, but like you said, there's always connection.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And another feature on the album, I don't like to talk about relationships with people during interviews, but it's out there. Rocky's on the album. Does she ever critique your raps? You guys ever go back and forth like?
All the fucking time. No. She, I like to think we feed off each other, but it's also we're also very. All relationships are work. Whether it's a relationship between me and my manager, my DJ. It's all relationships need work. It's about whether or not you're willing to do it. So even it was very difficult at first because we were still boyfriend and girlfriend and trying to figure things out at the beginning. We were married to the hustle, recording, and we tried to work together. It just ended up becoming so much conflict because a lot of things that had nothing to do with the music would start to come in because we were maybe not checking in with each other. So now we've had to be very cautious in the way we work together, very calculated in how we do it, and have purpose behind it. And she's grown as an artist, I've grown as an artist, so we've found a nice happy medium. So we've talked about like doing projects and things like that.
That would be dope.
That would be fun. And she, she's very open to also me. When we're recording, she's always like, hey, what do you think of this? We'll talk about it. And same with mine. I'll let her listen to all the rough cuts. She'll say, no, I don't think that one should go on the album. Last night we just did a show in San Francisco.
Yes.
I was like, hey, how was it, babe? She's like, yeah, Soul Assassin section was a little too long. It's like, word, thank you.
That real.
It's like everyone's like, yeah, it was dope. And when I need that real, that chin check, she got me. Yeah.
And speaking of the two of you, your son is featured on the album a couple of times, especially the kid interlude, which is so powerful, but yet so real. How did that kind of happen? Like, did you sing it to him? You just turned on the mic and was like, go?
Well, first, I knew that I wanted to do a song like this, and I actually had envisioned it as being way more children, kind of like a bunch of children, And it's produced by Geologic of the Blue Scholars' son, Johnny, who's 8 years old, and he produced it on like an iPad. He sent the beat over. I said, okay, I gotta let Kahlil get on this. And Kahlil had just recorded a song with his god sister. This song called 300 Laptops, 300 Bars. I don't know how they came up with it, but like Kahlil was doing ad-libs on it. And so he had this like bug and wanted to record. So I just literally turned the mic on and said, okay, well, what do you want to say? And so he'd start to mumble things and I'd clarify things for him. Then at the end when we were trying to do the barat, that's what you hear.
Yeah.
So, it was important for me to have it as part of the album. You know, this is my last full-length album, so you know.
That's what we
obviously, like this album is a little. You know, I'm the dad now, and kids don't want to listen to dad rap. You know, dads want to listen to dad rap because then they feel something, and dads are too busy to listen to the whole album. So I'm kind of moving to an area where I'm just going to be dropping short projects here and there, and, you know, still making music, but still being there for my son, you know, because when you work on an album, I'm away from my kid, you know,
and then when you
6 months away, and then I got a tour, you know, so I made the decision to say, okay, this is my last full-length album, and I'll make music at my own convenience. You know, there's so many young cats, and that's why it was another important reason for me to do the Rent Money tour, because, you know, I keep talking this game about there's more and more, there's a whole bunch of other cats doing, you know, really good music. Just spotlight them. So Kixxie is making a lot of noise down in Hawthorne, and Rey Resurreccion is making hella noise in San Jose. So, you know, it just felt right to have them both be part of the tour. You know, I just feel like they're doing such amazing work at, you know, such an early phase in their career with something that took me 10 years to build up. These kids are already on it, you know what I mean? Kixxie's already got like 4 albums worth of material, you know what I mean? Where every single song I recorded when I first started recording, you had to keep because it was on fucking tape, you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't just erase it. You couldn't say, I don't like that one, let's not put that on the project. You had to use it, even if it was garbage.
Crazy. Okay, I don't ask rappers to freestyle.
Oh no.
But, you know this is my song, so I think we tag team it. We could
Sermon?
do it. Yeah, we're gonna do it. Can we do it?
Okay, let's try it.
I fucks with it. I fucks with it.
This shit bang, huh?
I fucks with it. I fucks with it. I fucks with it.
I can piece a rap together faster than the average, and every word together is like a sermon when I'm rapping.
So let's ask for the land of prison crash. You gotta say too. Got to control the block to keep it safe, but no thank you. You know what people gonna beat up rusty regal eyes red from the future, but you ride Filipinos. You would be like it was water. I can take marijuana. But regardless, we wake up and go to work like our papas. So we're living with a fridge and something cooking in the fire. Pretty women get belligerent. They smoke and get higher. Freedom fighter where the fire gets put out before it starts. Everybody claims the game, but not everyone got the heart. Pour a little liquor out for all the people gone away. Make a game like San Andreas feel like a slap in the face.
Every drop of blood got traces of exhaust pipe smog from all the way down to Watts to your favorite rap blog. This shit bang, huh?
I fucks with it. I fucks with it. I fucks with
This
it.
shit bang, huh?
See, I can't do the one. I thought we were just gonna do. I thought we were just gonna do the chorus.
Nah,
and you took
the second verse is still coming up. What you doing? You still got another verse to go. What are you? Tight.
Right there. So you cover a lot of topics on this project, on everything you ever do. It's just a wide range of things. I know you're never afraid to say anything, but are you ever nervous to talk about certain topics?
Yeah, anytime I speak or I start to feel like I'm speaking for women or queer issues, those are issues that I feel like you have to be very cautious in the way you write it, because it could always come off as patriarchal, and not just come off, but it could be at its core something that comes from, it's rooted in patriarchy. It could be, you know, like The Queen is Dead. I've been challenged many times on that song where, you know, women say, well, you're now taking away something that we're trying to reclaim. We're trying to reclaim that title is Queen, and now you're telling us that we shouldn't, which isn't what Queen is Dead is actually about. It's actually me speaking to the men saying, don't just use these words, you know, it's coupled with, I mean, I said at the end.
Like you said, like, it's not your own struggle, so you don't know what they're comfortable with, and you know what's okay in their book, because that's not you. So.
Right, and it's okay to actually want, as an artist, to want to challenge that, but you should always, or to write about these topics, but that should always be coupled with you being accessible to the community and open to critical dialogue, you know.
And I think it's good that even though you feel nervous about those topics, you take the time to really look into them, and that doesn't stop you from talking about them, right? Because you touch some really hard things, and even though, you know, you might not know exactly off the bat where to go with it, you always still do it and still represent all kinds of different people, no matter who they are.
Well, I always welcome criticism. I always like to say that I'm accessible to the community. You know, most of the things that I say don't come from books. You know, I read the books, I do the studies, I go through the EDs, I do what I can do, the educational discussions, but, you know, I study all the theoretic stuff, but it's the dialogues that I have with you know, my comrades or my kasamas, and that's actually what develops the things I end up writing about. You know, it's that it's the experience of, you know, of being with someone, sharing a story. That to me is more powerful than reading a book and reading some dates and memorizing. Not saying that that's not important, but, you know, it's also it can also be contrived.
As we're talking about you hitting different topics, are you ever overwhelmed by the news? Like, there's just always so much going on. There's so much that's being talked about. There's so much that's not being talked about. Do you ever find it overwhelming?
No, because I think that at the core of it all, it's pretty simple.
Gotcha.
You know, like I think you can connect from the micro to the macro just about anywhere. You know, I love to connect gangbanging. You know, we have a group of young black and brown kids who have organized into what we consider a gang, you know, in these communities where they're meant to not do such. And they create this hierarchy, and it becomes a gang, and it scares people, and blah, 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 blah. But really, when you break that down, which is horrible, gang violence is horrible, you know, we need to reclaim our neighborhoods, we need to educate our young children. But when you break that down, all they're doing, all these gangs are doing is reflecting the greater culture, which is profit over people. I will sell crack to my auntie because I need to eat. It's violence. When you watch a TV show like Basketball Wives and at the bottom there's a ticker of 50 people died and blah, 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 blah. It's like it's nothing. You just take it. You listen to rap music, you listen to other forms. And I'm not saying we need to censor rap music. You know, we need to find out why they're speaking on this. But you know, it's what gets fed is Republican rap. It's, again, profit over people, money, makes the world go around. Money will save us is the thing, you know. The famous term right now is self-made. I'm a self-made, you know, we're slowly but surely removing ourselves from a community. The rap beefs are starting to come back, and you know, so we're starting in that cycle again. Again, that's what when I see the news, I'm just connecting the local issues with the bigger issues because they're all related. Just like, you know, issues in our community are connected to global issues, so we should be aware of it. You know, while you know, taking care of our community, we should be aware of it because that could be something that could help fix what's going on over here.
Definitely. Yep.
And what we're doing over here could affect what's going on elsewhere. United States imperialism is very responsible for a lot of the ills that are going on. You know, I mean, from the Iran-Contra on, from before that, you know, I mean, it's just, you know, imperialism is at the root of a lot of the issues in the Philippines. Imperialism, capitalism.
So.
Sorry.
No.
I talk a lot.
No, you are hitting things that most people wouldn't even talk about, so it's all good. And then you know, speak for voiceless people. You speak about things that people aren't talking about. With social media networks like Twitter and things like that, we're finding stories that we don't find on our local news and we don't find on CNN. Where do you get most of your news from and topics that you talk about in your songs?
I watch all kinds of news. I watch Fox. I watch NPR. I listen to NPR. I listen to liberal news. I listen to conservative news. You know, I like to gather all kinds of information. I love watching the Daily Show and the Corporate Report. But I also, you know, stay rooted to the people that it's affected. You know, I get a lot of my stuff through a lot of the organizations I work with, a lot of the organizers. You know, a lot of issues that come up. I'm pretty busy with music, so I try my best to stay grounded through, you know, people who are actually on the ground, you know, researching and finding this information, finding these issues, actually doing the work towards it, you know, impacting social change. I find these people and I work with these people, and then, you know, it keeps me grounded with the folks, and I do organizational work to, you know, around certain issues. And again, I always find it pretty simple. You know, if we're doing work around an issue here in California that might affect, you know, education for our youth, I can find a way to connect that to other ills, you know, around the world, or I mean, you know, within the, you know, region.
That's a beautiful thing. What else is next for you? You said this is going to be the last one.
Yeah, hopefully we can get back in the lab with the Soul Assassins Camp, DJ Muggs versus Bambu record, which I know I've been talking about for a while. I'd like to do that one. The Bar is about to drop. Yeah, The Bar is going to drop another record. When we're up in Seattle, I'll be in the lab with Kixxie and Ray. We'll be sleeping in the studio, so who knows what's going to come of that. You know, I want to make rap fun again, you know, and it got to a point in my career where rap was really a lot of work, and it was hard for me to enjoy, and I felt like I had to churn stuff out because I was scared people would forget about me, and it became so superficial. And now I get to be around rappers and spitters, and Gio from the Blue Scholars is just like, it's a lot of fun to pretend I'm 16 again and just feeding off of other rappers' energy, you know, which I haven't done in a long time. So that and the Native Gun stuff is coming out, you know, and then Rocky Rivera's album, we're gonna go hard on that. We're gonna start working on Gangster Of Love, and you know, it's gonna be a giant collaborative effort. And the beat she has for it, I can't believe.
6 fingers.
It's a lot of producers. The Six is one of them. I mean, we're trying to solicit some beats with the stuff she has. I'm bummed that I didn't get them from the album. Let's put it that way. I have the instrumentals. You might hear me do some freestyles off of them because they're sick. They're really sick.
That's so dope. That's about it. Have a special Sunday. Stay special.
Indeed.
For Special Sundays radio show every Sunday 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and everything special, check out specialsundays.com.